Hi, I'm Alison Sav, a postdoctoral researcher.
Hi, I'm Nicola Beesley, a postdoctoral researcher.
Hi, I'm Blanca Perez Sepulveda, a postdoctoral researcher.
Hi, I'm Chris Subramaniam, also a postdoctoral researcher.
Hi, I'm Sarah Arrowsmith, also a postdoc.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Monaghan, a research assistant, and you are listening to Making an Impact special as part of the Developing Practice podcast.
Welcome to this Making an Impact special as part of the University of Liverpool's Academy's Developing Practice podcast. In this episode, myself, Alex Owen, academic developer, and Matt Davis, organisational developer, sat down with Nicola, Sarah, Mary Jane, Alison, Blanca and Chris to discuss the role of the Research Staff Association in creating a positive change in culture for research staff within the university. We hope you enjoy. Well, we're really pleased to be speaking to you all today about one of our Making an Impact specials. Making an Impact development series is an annual programme of events which aims to provide a rich, varied and high quality development opportunities for researchers, academics and research-related professional services staff at all stages of their career across all faculties. And we know that the Research Staff Association is working closely with our colleagues in the Academy to make the Making an Impact event here at the University of Liverpool a real success. So before we start to unpack some of the work that you have been doing, it'd be really good to get to know you a little bit and to hear about your professional backgrounds and how you've arrived at the positions you're in now. So Sarah, if we start with you.
Yeah, of course. So hi everyone, I'm Sarah Arrowsmith. I'm a researcher in the Institute of Translational Medicine in the Faculty of Health and Life Science. I actually began my career at Liverpool, so I did my undergraduate BSc in physiology at the university, and following on from that I was awarded a Wellcome Trust PhD studentship, which first really got me interested in the research that I'm doing at the moment, which is uterine physiology. And I gained my PhD in 2010, so I've been at the university quite a while, been working as a postdoc ever since, looking at uterine contractions and how we can modulate these to control either difficult labours or labours that go or start too soon, thinking about things like preterm birth. So that's really where I started at Liverpool, and I'm still here now.
Brilliant. And Nicola, how about you?
Yes, so similar to Sarah, I'm also an alumna of the university. I trained here as a vet, and I'm now currently working as a postdoc in the Institute of Infection and Global Health on a multi-omics approach to drug resistance in parasites of animals.
Great. Chris, how about you?
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Subramaniam. I'm a senior postdoc in IGH along with Nicola. I did my training actually in the US. I got my PhD in 2009 in microbiology and immunology from Albert Einstein College of Medicine in the US. And I started my kind of postdoctoral career in the US, but then continued it in Liverpool, first at the Trop School and now at IGH, where I'm working on development of viral vaccines. So initially it was geared to flaviviruses, but with our current pandemic, it is now solely related to COVID-19.
Great. Mary Jane?
Hi, so I'm Mary Jane Monaghan and I work for electrical engineering and electronics on a project called Fit for RNI, and we are looking at ethics and science education in research. However, my background was in childcare. I worked in childcare for 15 years, and then I went to Hope University and did a psychology conversion degree. So that's how I ended up working on a research project.
Yay, that makes me really excited. I used to be the head of department for early childhood at Hope, so we need to have a coffee outside of this.
We do, yes, definitely.
Great. Okay, Alison, how about yourself?
So I'm Alison Sav. I'm a researcher in the Department of Chemistry. I did my PhD in organic chemistry at the University of Birmingham, but now I'm working on the formulation of poorly water-soluble drugs in order to improve their bioavailability.
Brilliant. Finally, Blanca.
Hi, I'm Blanca. I am originally from Chile, so I did my undergrad and master's degree there in biochemistry. And then I moved to the UK about, I would say, over 8 years ago to do a PhD. And I moved to Liverpool in 2016. And I work here as a postdoc in the Institute of Integrative Biology, working on Salmonella, African Salmonella specifically.
Wonderful. So you've all got quite different backgrounds, but you've all come together as part of the Research Staff Association. I assume this association is open to all researching staff, is that correct?
Yeah, it's open to anyone who's on a research contract. So unlike the others people in the RSA, I haven't got a PhD, so I'm not a postdoc, but I'm still able to access the Research Staff Association and all the benefits that come along with that.
So it's great to have you all with us today. Like Alex said, you've all got a varied background, and we've got an international flavour to this podcast with people studying in the US and people from different countries. So this is brilliant. This is great to have this sort of breadth on the podcast. Obviously, the podcast today, we're talking specifically around the Research Staff Association at Liverpool and how the RSA is working to support changing research culture for researchers at Liverpool for the better. So I'm going to throw this out to Sarah to start with. Sarah, how did the RSA come about and what are some of its ambitions?
Right, so the RSA at Liverpool, it was established in 2018 in February, I think it was. So we've been going almost 2 years now. And it was originally developed, or it still is developed, by researchers. So all of us who are on the research committee for the RSA are all researchers. And importantly, it was developed by ourselves for researchers. So it's developed by researchers for researchers. And any member of staff, as Mary Jane's just said, any member of staff who's on a research contract at the university is automatically becomes a member of the RSA when they start. And the original ideas behind the RSA and what we kind of build towards is trying to give a sort of collective voice, or have a representative collective voice for all research staff on any matters that affect them at their time at Liverpool. So this is for all staff across the university. So importantly, it provides a platform for communication and networking across the campus. So we have members from all 3 faculties across the university. And ideally, what we really are trying to achieve is to try and coordinate opportunities for researcher development. So we work really closely with the academy on this in developing these opportunities and putting across a number of activities. And essentially what we're trying to do is to be able to enable researchers to make the most of their time at the university, to come out feeling not just being a researcher doing that everyday job, but also having this opportunity to develop themselves professionally as well.
Brilliant. It's got quite a varied list of objectives there. Alison, if I just come to you, I understand you're the longest serving member of the RSA. And just before we get into sort of how you got involved with the RSA, has there been any time where this collaboration, this community has done something where you've maybe changed policy or practice at the university, or is it solely a developmental community?
No, we certainly have been involved in sort of policy activities. So Sarah and Nicola both sit on the Concordat steering group, right, where they work at getting this Concordat ready for the university.
Basically, the things that fall out of the Concordat group, the RSA therefore have a steer in implementation. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay,
cool. So, Alison, why did you, or how did you get involved in the RSA?
So I initially got involved from the start because it was set up by my colleague and friend, Dr. Helen Colbeck. She was a part of the UK Research Staff Association, and she realised that the University of Liverpool was clearly missing out on having this kind of network available for its researchers. So my primary involvement became just because I was helping out a friend. And from my time sort of working as part of the RSA, I sort of realised that actually we really were missing out on quite a lot in terms of having a voice with senior management and having like people who are willing to champion the issues that we are facing as sort of researchers on temporary contracts and things like that, and also having the development opportunities where, you know, it's quite easy for us to be forgotten when we're sort of being very quick turnover of staff.
Yeah.
So I sort of realised that there was really some good work that could be done here. And also there was the obvious opportunities of improving my CV and, you know, and creating a network, but just having that voice has been really great.
Brilliant. That sounds really, really interesting. So Sarah, just turning to you, how did you get involved in the RSA? I take it that some of you will have similar stories, but some of you will probably come from it from a different angle.
So prior to my time being with the RSA, I was actually president of the ITM's postdoc network, and quite a number of institutes across, at least in the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences, which is obviously where I'm based, so I know a bit more about that, have a number of these sort of staff associations that were going on independently, and we used to come together to put on joint events, and it kind of came about that really we're kind of all trying to reinvent the wheel and all putting on the same events, so we should really have some sort of a collaborative effort, which kind of was why I thought, well, when I saw the Research Staff Association being set up, I hoped that I could bring some of my experience from my time in the Institute of Translational Medicine. I could bring that to the foreground. Yeah. But the RSA actually started just as I was going on maternity leave, so it was a bit sort of, the timing wasn't great for me. But when I came back, I knew it was something that I really wanted to get on board with. So that's what I did when I came back.
Brilliant. I understand, Mary Jane, you've got an experience of why you joined the RSA.
Yeah, so after I joined the university, I started engaging with the RSA activities, and I wanted to be part of the committee, to be like a representative for research assistants, because the committee and a lot of the activities were aimed at postdocs at the time. So by me coming on, I feel like I'm a voice for a different type of researcher type of thing, to make sure that our research assistants are also aware that they can actually engage in some of these activities as well. And then I helped with the organisation of Making an Impact in 2019. And after being so involved in an important event, I decided that I wanted to take more of a role in the RSA. So with a conversation with Sanya, we decided that I would be able to become deputy co-chair alongside Alison. So I saw that as a wonderful opportunity to make a difference to the research culture, and obviously the same as the others, increase my own network opportunities, and it looks good on your CV.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah.
Just adding into that then, so I mean, you are coming at it from a different angle, Mary Jane. So I'm just wondering, are there any other people on the RSA that aren't, strictly speaking, postdocs? Or, for example, have we got any technicians that attend the RSA?
I know there's a few other research assistants that attend the RSA.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of anyone else at any different levels. Maybe some of the others know if there's anyone. But definitely other research assistants have joined and come to different events and help out with committees and for organisation of events and things like that.
We try to make our events inclusive to everyone, so not just for research staff, but also for postgraduate researchers and technicians if they want to come along as well. And people have been taking us up on that.
I see. So some of the events that you've been putting on are definitely more widely attended than just the strictly research community.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
So similar to Sarah, I was a postdoc representative within my local institute, the Institute of Infection and Global Health. And I felt like we were beginning to make a difference at a local level in terms of the recognition that we were getting for the work that we were doing. And so the Research Staff Association gave me the opportunity to do that on a wider level, so at the university level almost. And it's a really good opportunity to represent the research staff community at various levels. So as previously been mentioned, we sit on the Concordat steering group, and we also have representatives that sit on the Athena Swan committee and the Research and Impact Committee. So we definitely have a voice and are feeding into talks that are happening across the university at a high level.
Great, thanks, Nicola.
That's brilliant, Nicola. So you're obviously involved in a wide variety of different committees, and also, Mary Jane, you mentioned earlier that you were involved in organising the Making an Impact events. It would be really good to hear a little bit more about Making an Impact and some of the kind of explicit examples of the types of work that the RSA are included in. Chris, can you give us some examples of that?
Yeah, so the RSA runs several events throughout the year to basically enrich the researcher experience, whether they be postdocs or research assistants, research associates. So one event that is coming up within the Making an Impact week is a cafe culture event. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with cafe culture, it is part of Wellcome Trust's Reimagining Research Initiative. And the cafe culture is basically a toolkit that we can use in order to start the dialogue about how we can change and reimagine our research culture and how we can take specific steps to kind of make a more fruitful research environment for all the staff within the university. So that's one thing that we're doing in Making the Impact. And then Mary Jane will touch on some of the lunch and learn sessions that the RSA also run.
Yeah, so I was actually lucky enough to be given the opportunity to talk about my own research during one of the lunch and learn sessions. My research into ethics came across very well, and it was something that the research staff organisation felt would be useful to disseminate through the RSA. Some of the other sessions that we run include sessions on how to use Microsoft Teams, which has been particularly useful with people moving to working remotely, being able to have collaborative meetings on there, hold webinars, set up different chats so that their emails don't get clogged up, that type of thing. Another useful session was around finance, which highlighted how to cost a budget and grant application and how the university recovers costs from grants. We're always trying to look for new lunch and learn ideas. These can include practical workshops. For example, during the COVID-19 lockdown period, we've had to adapt our lunch and learn sessions to take place online.
We've also moved our RSA roadshow. So what we've been doing is that we go to different departments and just to build networking events and things like that. And we've moved that during the COVID-19 lockdown to virtual coffee afternoons. So we meet with people using Zoom or Teams, and we have coffee and network and have a chat. We've also been running Twitter chats, which are 1 hour chats targeted at sharing best practices. We've also been organizing the well-being event that will be in the summer and the December conference. Both events focused on coaching. It's all about giving research staff the tools to take control of their own careers. For example, last year's December conference was the Magical Mystery Tour with loads of coaching sessions, and it was really, really useful.
And I know you guys are involved with supporting colleagues from the Academy in terms of Making an Impact, which is coming up in June. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've been liaising with the Academy with regards to Making an Impact. Obviously, this year it's going all online, and we've been trying to offer our input in the best way we can in terms of how these sessions need to be structured based on people's childcare responsibilities and how best they can be presented in order to sort of fit everyone's needs whilst we're going through a particularly strange period of time.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant to hear how colleagues from the Academy themselves are collaborating together. That's really nice.
Yeah, it is. So just moving on slightly, in our last season in the podcast, we got to hear from Dr. Katie Wheat, who's the head of HE engagement at VTI, who came in to talk about the Concordat initiatives. Nicola and Sarah, actually, can you tell us how the RSA is supporting some of those Concordat initiatives?
Yes, so I'll start off just by saying that the talk that Katie Wheat came to do for us about the Concordat was a great event in terms of getting the top-down and bottom-up approach that we need to disseminate the information about the Concordat. So we had not just research staff there, we also had principal investigators there. And the idea being that the people that were at that talk could then almost act as ambassadors and go back to their departments and talk about the Concordat in terms of why we should all be engaging with it.
Yeah, so that was a really great start to this sort of the new Concordat, or the revised Concordat, I should say. And as part of our role in the RSA, I think we spoke a little bit earlier, was that we actually are able to sit on the university's Concordat steering group. So this is a group was set up via the university to support the university's action plan for how they're going to implement some of the initiatives that the Concordat promotes. So we actually get to sit at the table, if you like, with senior managers and be able to give an RSA input or researcher input and representation into this group. So it basically gives us an opportunity to be able to sort of tailor some of the opportunities available to researchers so it can fit in within the Concordat steering group's action plan.
Brilliant. So I mean that is a real great example of how the RSA is, you know, gathering that data from like the bottom up, as you've said, as Nicola said, and then is having an impact on how we implement things like the Concordat, and then obviously how that reflects back on policy and culture change, which I guess is the main theme of what you guys are trying to achieve.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, having that sort of ability to be able to talk with the senior manager team is really, really key to any changes that we want to make. It also gives us an opportunity as well to be able to sort of put forward any good practice that's going on across the university, because we have leads there from each of the different faculties. So we're able to say what particular faculty is doing this. Isn't it a great opportunity? We should be promoting this in other faculties. So it's another opportunity to share this best practice as well.
Yeah, and I think it's also getting the realization across to people that being a postdoc or a research staffer isn't just about doing the work that's on your grant anymore. It's about developing yourself as an individual as well, so that you've got longevity within this industry and can have like a fruitful academic career. And so part of that is encouraging people to reflect on themselves and to identify their own like training needs, essentially. And then through the RSA, we can then provide those training and development opportunities for them.
Right. So is there a budget to the RSA that people can tap into once a need has been identified? Or is it all done on, like a lot of the work in universities is done on, as favours and, you know, goodwill of people coming in to share their experiences?
There's a lot of favours and goodwill in terms of our time, I would say.
Yeah.
We have a small budget which is sort of administered by the academy, so they keep us on our toes with what we are allowed and not allowed to spend, and obviously we try and spend it wisely. During one of our conferences that we did, we managed to secure some external sponsorship, so things like that can sort of supplement some of the activities that we do as well. So yeah, we have got a tight budget.
Yeah, but it's also about encouraging people to give back to the university as well. So getting involved with alumni, asking them to come back to the university and tell us about their careers, and using that as a way to support the budget almost, because we're not having to pay them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. That's great. I mean, bringing alumni back to share experiences and practices that they've got now, you know, since they've left. That's a wonderful idea.
So Sarah, I think you mentioned there that you've been holding conferences, and I know that you had one back in December. So could you tell us a little bit more about the RSA conference that took place just before Christmas?
Yes, sorry. So this was one of the ways that we were getting alumni to come back to the university and to engage with us, and we wanted to cover a couple of things really in terms of transferable skills that we have as researchers that can then be used to identify other careers that we can move into if we're not staying in academia, and then showcase through the alumni the different career paths that they have taken.
Brilliant. Mary Jane, did you attend the conference, and what did you get from it?
I did attend the conference. It was a really good, really busy day. We had lots of sessions on, as Nicola said, from people showcasing what they did in industry. We also had breakout sessions where people were doing like CV coaching, where you could look at how you could make your LinkedIn profile more attractive to industry, and then one-to-one CV clinics where you could talk to someone in an industry that you might be interested in going into. Like there was a teacher there to help if you wanted to look at making your CV stronger and more attractable to different industries. So they were really, really useful and got booked up really quick. So everybody found that really helpful on the day.
I think the key thing there, Mary Jane, is that the day was really busy, and I think we were a bit ambitious in how much we tried to cram into one day, but everyone found it helpful.
Brilliant. And is that something that you're thinking you might well build on for the future then, in terms of developing that idea of a conference?
Okay, yes, most definitely. What we would like to do is have this as an annual conference. So we've run it for the last 2 years, and it's something we want to keep in people's minds. And one of the ideas and what we're the next conference is to build into it ways in which researchers can showcase the ways in which that they've used their 10 days of allocated time for professional development, and thinking back towards the Concordat and these allocated days that people can use to go off and do various different activities to support their well-being and their professional development.
Brilliant. I'm glad you've just mentioned well-being there, because that leads me on to another question that we've got around well-being. I know that it's one area that's not explicitly covered in the Concordat, is the support of researchers' well-being. So do you think the RSA has a role to play in that? And if Alison, can I direct that one at you?
Yeah, so I certainly do think that we have an important role to play in supporting researchers' well-being. As researchers ourselves, we know what it's like to be researchers and the struggles that we face with the natures of our work and employment conditions. So our position on the committees that we sit on allow us to raise any concerns that we have directly with senior management. But more sort of importantly, with our events that we hold, we can certainly plan these with researchers' well-being in mind. So holding events where there are networking opportunities, such as our coffee afternoons, and hosting our well-being events, which this year will be focusing on personal development rather than just purely career development. So sort of taking opportunities to think about your work-life balance and how you can, the tools that you can use to improve your well-being as researchers. And we also are trying to encourage more networking on Twitter. We participated in Twitter chats during the COVID-19 lockdown, so we could virtually connect with people whilst most people were at home.
Yeah, I mean it's massive at the moment, isn't it? I mean, there is one good thing around people who are working from home at the moment is that the conversation has switched to well-being, and in particularly the mental health of people working from home, and then that's obviously building on something that the Wellcome Trust had come out with recently around that sort of culture of research and things like that. So it's great that the RSA are sort of going to start pushing that agenda, because it's obviously really, really important at the moment, more than ever, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's really helpful. I think that builds with our next question in terms of the kind of personal benefit from being involved in the RSA. So Chris, maybe if we start with you, could you tell us a little bit about how you've personally benefited from this? And if anyone was thinking of joining or being involved in the RSA, what would you say?
So for anyone who's interested in joining the RSA, I would say, please join. We are a very welcoming community, and we would like to hear your opinions and your ideas of, how you feel your research experience has been in the university and just in general. And how I feel, kind of how the RSA has benefited me is I've only been in the RSA for about a year and a half since I was at LSTM before joining the university. So I've only been at the university for a year and a half, but I have found the RSA to be a very welcoming environment, in the sense that there's a camaraderie and rapport among the individuals within the RSA and the researcher community, and especially in ideas about well-being and kind of taking care of yourself in a very demanding research environment. I think the one thing that I've gained is this network of friends and colleagues that have been really very, very helpful in trying to kind of deal with the day-to-day demands of a research career in these kind of unprecedented times.
I think that's brilliant, and I think that's a really nice summary of someone who's potentially quite new to the university. Alison, I think you've been part of the RSA for a bit longer. How about you? What have you? How have you personally benefited from being a part of this?
So for me, because I haven't really had that involvement in a sort of school level in sort of any sort of researcher forums, I've sort of realised quite what I've been missing out on in the School of Physical Sciences. So we had a researcher forum in school, which was sort of, it'd gone a bit quiet because there was no one getting involved. So I've started as a co-chair for that, in order to build up the opportunities, and it's given me an opportunity to get involved in sort of senior management level conversations as part of my own school now. So I went the other way from Sarah and Nicola. I started with the RSA and then I went back to the school level. But yeah, personally for me, it has been like so wonderful to work with such wonderful people. Like the guys obviously in this podcast, they are fabulous, and Sanya and Angela as well. It's just such a supportive network of people. And also, it is on the CV as well. So it's one of the things which people do say a lot, but it is a really good opportunity. And if anyone does want to get involved, I would absolutely encourage it, because it's like having another little family of people to support and rely on. It's really nice.
I'm a relatively quite new member of the RSA. I've only been part of the RSA for a few months, and it has been incredible, because when you transition from being a student to being a postdoc, which is my case, for example, it can be quite tough at the beginning, because you start getting all these new responsibilities and you have short contracts, and it can feel quite lonely. So being part of the RSA has really given me a sense of purpose and belonging that is quite hard to find when you're alone in your research.
Yeah, that is really good. It's great to hear that the association is thriving in that way, and it is really supportive of each other. So, I mean, what's next on the agenda for the RSA? Chris, Blanca, what's coming up? What can we expect?
So a lot of events are coming up. Most of them are going to be virtual,
Sure.
but still the RSA, we realize that there's a need to still continue to enrich the researcher community, even though we might not have the face-to-face interactions. So there's going to be, like I said earlier, there's going to be a cafe culture event that's part of the Making an Impact Week that the RSA will be kind of facilitating. There's also going to be the summer well-being group that's been organized by Sarah and Nicola. So that's something that's also going to hopefully happen virtually, because we don't know when this lockdown will ever end. And kind of looking towards the future, there is the Postdoc Appreciation Week that is in mid-September. So we're going to be planning sessions around that. And yeah, I think that's, I think
that's a lot.
That's it for now.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. It's been really interesting talking to you about some of your work and the work of the RSA. And we like to finish each podcast with a couple of take-home tips for our listeners to think about and reflect on in terms of their own personal practice. So maybe if a few of you have a tip that you'd like to share with us, it would be brilliant to hear about them. So Nicola, maybe if we start with you.
Yes, so I think I'd just like to remind people that the Research Staff Association is run by researchers, but it's also for researchers. So we want you as researchers to get in touch and let us know what you think we should be doing.
So I think thinking on the 10 days allowance for professional development activities, I think if you're stuck for ideas, then there's a great list of activities that are on the Academy's website. On there, you'll find really great ideas about how you could engage in some of these professional development activities.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to echo Nicola's beginning sentiment, and that is, you know, definitely get involved in the RSA. In the beginning, I didn't think I would have a voice within the research community, or I thought my voice wouldn't be heard. But you know, it is a voice, and you should use it, especially if you want something that, you know, that if you're committed to something, you should definitely use your voice to get it done.
I'd also add to that and say that it doesn't matter like what level of researcher you are and how new you are to the research community, that your voice will still matter. So this is my first ever research post, and I still feel like I'm just as important as everybody else in the RSA, and that my opinions will also count and do matter as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. That's been really, really interesting.
Yep, thank you. Thanks very much for chatting with us today.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it was great to hear from some of the members of the RSA. It really does go to show that there is a real positive impact from working with positive people in a network such as the RSA, and some of the benefits that can have in terms of developing practice, but also in terms of, you know, supporting each other, personal well-being, and having a sense of belonging in a community where people often feel isolated.
I think you're right, Matt, and some of the other podcasts that we've recorded, we've really picked up that some researchers struggle, and I know the Wellcome Trust have picked up from that from their survey in terms of feeling isolated and not having the support that they potentially need. And the RSA obviously runs a number of events across the year, as well as being involved with making an impact. And the whole aim of those events is to support researchers to connect and provide opportunity to reflect on aspects that are relevant to their experiences, things like research culture, research ethics. So it's a great way to get connected if colleagues are involved in research and would like to meet others who are possibly facing similar questions, challenges and issues. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully there's aspects within there of different areas of practice that you'd like to reflect on and think about in terms of your own personal practice. It might be that it's challenged you to get involved in a network related to your discipline or your work. If you'd like to take your thinking further, we've added some further resources to the website specifically related to this podcast. So you can access these at liverpool.ac.uk/the-academy/podcast. And on there, there's a specific reading list linked to this podcast where you can follow up some of the conversations that we've had. We also love to hear back from you. Let us know what you thought about this episode. And you can do that by tweeting us at LiveUniAcademy. And you can also tweet us directly at eLearnerMatt or at Alexandra_Owen.
And we're always grateful for those who have taken the time to add, rate or review our show in your podcast provider's app. So if you've listened and enjoyed this episode, please rate or even better review the show, as it really does help get us noticed, and therefore more people will find us as a result. And I know a lot of you have listened but have not yet subscribed, so please do hit that follow or subscribe button now to keep up to date with our latest episodes. Bye for now.